Right, so we can also actually start doing more than this, and since we're passing down the prop, we can still actually grab the information from the cakes, so from in here into this array and objects here. And if we want to do that with, for example, a method, right, or a computer or something, right, or sorting things and whatever, we can do that as well. So quickly I'll just show you. Now if we wanted to grab the object, the array, or what was it called, the cakes again, we would just do it. We would similarly do in this situation if it was still located inside our data object here. We would still use the this keyword to grab this and this cakes, and then we can manipulate it whatever we want to change data, add data, splice, remove, pop, whatever we want to do, change the values, reset it. But we would just use this keyword. Oops, sorry, I need to do a little bit more. I actually need to declare that I want to create a function called like delete. That's then the function, and that's what it is. Remember to do that. That's really gonna help a lot. And again, in here we can use the this keyword. So sorry for that. That's why it was the wrong color. But it's just the same as you would if it was actually existing. The system kind of still thinks it exists here, but we just moved it back. So that's one thing you can do. We can also validate our props here when we grab it and make sure that it's what we expect it to be, and that's for development that can be a good thing. And so I'm just going to show you how we can actually validate what information we're expecting, and if we're not getting it, then we can make the system stop or something like this. So I'll show you that now. And we need to go back to this one. So I'm just going to change my prop up here. Right now we're just saying grab the array and then blah 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 blah, right? But what we want to do is we want to change this a little bit. So instead of just saying grab the array, I'm going to convert this into a object, and because now I can actually use key values to make sure we're getting what we're expecting. And we still want to grab the cake that we had before, and inside this we are going to ask it for a type, and this again, if you're from TypeScript universe, then this will be familiar to you, and if you're not, then hopefully at some point this will be, but we're just validating the data we get. So what we want to get is an array like this, and that's what we're expecting it to grab. But we can also, sorry, let's just do a save so it works, and we can just really quick check, see if it's still here. It's still here. Woo! Awesome, right? But let's try and do something, and instead of having an array, we're going to type string in here. Now, what is it going to say over here? We're still getting information, but it's going to give us a check here and tell us that our data is actually not what we expected it to be. So we expect to get a string, but we actually got an array, which is right here. So we can validate the data that we actually have by changing it to look like this. And depending on what you're doing, of course, this if you're just creating something fast, then you don't really need to validate, maybe. But if you want to validate your data for testing later on, it's a good idea to say, well, what type are we expecting? String arrays, booleans, whatever we want. So we can do it like this, setting this up. We can also add the required part and set that to true, so we want to make sure that this is what we actually want. And if this for some reason is not true, then we're going to stop the thing what we're going to do. So let's see what this can do.